Hi everyone, it's Jackie at Spare Room Studio and I am back today to do part 2 of this page, The Mad Hatter, from the book Alice in Wonderland by Max Brenner. And I'm really pleased to be able to say that Max Brenner is in fact a real artist. I had somebody reach out in the comments of part 1, Mystic Mama, who let me know that there is an Amazon write-up about the artist on Amazon US. So I did go and have a look on Amazon AU or Amazon Australia and discovered that I was looking in the wrong area and didn't see the particular write-up that talks about the artist. So I'm really happy about that. I will put a copy of it in the description of this video because it talks about Max's interests and experience and so on, so I will put that in the description box so that you can have a read of it as well. And I'm quite relieved to find out that Max is in fact a real person and that I'm supporting a real person in my purchase of this book, because I didn't like thinking that it was AI for personal reasons, and I did go into that a little bit in the first video, but yeah, I'm really pleased that it is in fact a real artist and somebody who uses traditional and digital art skills. So thank you to Mystic Mama for putting that in the comments for me. I really appreciate it, and I'm happy to know that that's the case. While I was off camera, I did do a little bit of colouring on this page in the background, because something else that I did was went looking for my box of open stock Prismacolor Premier markers and mixture of markers. I have a couple of Copic chows and all sorts in there. So I pulled some different greens out, and this is exactly why I want my own art space back again, because I found that I had a set of Touch 5 markers that I forgot that I owned. So I went through them and I chose a few different greens and bluey greens and so on to try on that background, and that's what I've done there. So what I was doing was a continuation on what you saw me doing in the first part, where I was going over various areas. So for example, I had, let's have a look, I had mint green light, which is this darker colour, and then I was using something like the pale green and blending the edges out so there was no hard edges. And what I discovered too was, while I was messing around, the marker that I thought had no colour in it does in fact have a very pale green, but it wasn't showing up in the lighting yesterday, and it may not show up on the camera very well now, but it is in fact a very pale green. And so I've been trialing all of those, and that's what's happened there. But basically what I was doing off screen was pretty much what you saw me doing at the end of part 1, where I'm just doing some random blocks of colour. I'm coming back with more of a medium tone and blending that darker bit in, and then I'm using a lighter tone again to keep blending those edges in. And what I'm trying to achieve is not any fine details, but more of a abstract blending of the colour that may mimic a watercolour look in the end, because the way that it's very difficult to explain, but the way this lighter colour is working is it tends to leach or bleach some of the colour out of the darker markers, and in doing so it ends up with these slight hard edges that look a bit like when watercolour is not finely blended and you get some hard edges with your watercolour, or you know, watery effects with your watercolour. And this is chartreuse green again. So yeah, I've just been playing with blending and mixing these various colours until I get to a point where it sort of is looking like I want it to look. And basically what I'm trying to achieve is a very loose, nondescript, you know, no real details. We will be able to tell that they're roses obviously, but no real details, just changes in colour and so on really. It's very hard to put into words what I'm trying to describe, but hopefully at the end it'll become self-evident what I was trying to do. So we'll get stuck into this again. I feel a lot better about this book now, because there are a lot of images in here I really do like, and yeah, I just feel better about it now. I feel better about owning it now and knowing that I'm supporting somebody. Another thing that I was thinking about doing with this too, for a little bit of effect, because that's quite solid up there, you can in fact use the colourless blender to just do some random squiggles and scribbles, just to give it that texture. And it will just be a case of continuously going around various spots until I feel like I've achieved that look that I'm got in my mind. So that's what I was trying to do there. Just make sure that that is going right to the edge there. So it's a lot of ranges of colours from very bluey green to very yellow green and everything in between, but that's what I want to sort of give it that dappled, you know, dappled look. And I've just realised I've sat down here without actually picking up my metallic gel pens. So we'll just keep going as far as we can and see how we get. Okay, now when I looked back on it, I thought that let's have a look. I thought that, sorry, lost my train of thought, that the hat was looking a little bit disjointed with the way that that pattern was working up there. So I'm going to come back over that and see if we can blend some of that together. And see how that goes. I'm really not sure what a lot of this is meant to be, so I've decided that what I will do is not add any extra colour in there. So in fact just go over those lines and just have the random blend of colour rather than trying to make it look like a pattern. Oops, she's got the dropsies today as well. So far today I've managed to get a little bit of chores around the house done, a bit of housework, a bit of washing, all that sort of thing. We've got a beautiful day here. It's a perfect day for getting washing dry, and I've you know, achieved a few things there which has been good that needed to be done before I've allowed myself to sit down and colour again. I'm supposed to have a dressing change today, a nurse visit, and they messaged me this morning to say that they've changed the time again. Every time they come, it's been very, very different times of the day. And now they've changed the window of time that they might get here to 6:45 p.m. to 8:45 p.m. is when they might arrive. And I'm thinking, if they don't get here until 8:45 p.m, and it usually takes anything up to 45 minutes for them to do it, it could be 9:30 tonight before it's done and finished and they're leaving. I just think that is crazy. Not that I have any other plans, but I mean, it's very, very odd timing. So I'm not overly impressed by that, I have to say. Not that it's the nurse's fault. It sounds like they might be under the pump with work at the moment. Maybe they've got people off sick, or extra clients or something come on board, I don't know, but you know, 8:45 on a Friday night seems a very strange time to be having a nurse come to do dressing changes. By that time of the night, I'm starting to wind down. I've usually got pyjamas on and got a colouring book in front of the TV or YouTube on or something, and unwinding, ready for, you know, going to bed. So it's going to be a little bit tricky too with Mr. Hamish, because I have to shut him into the laundry, close him out while the nurse is visiting. And normally at that time of night he's asleep on his bed in the family room with me as well, so he'll be wondering what's going on. But, you know, needs must and all that. I'm going to go over that. I was thinking I'd leave it as a feature. There's a line around there, but I've decided no, I will go over it with the light blue, but keep it lighter than the rest of the brim of the hat here. And I'm just trying to get a bit of a smoother blend going there. And you can oversaturate your page with these alcohol markers. You think it's only water-based markers that you can do that, but this page is feeling quite wet and I'm roughing it up a bit, so you can overdo alcohol markers as well. Let's go for the chisel. So I hope you enjoyed part one. I did a bit of a ramble, but that's what I find I tend to be doing, because when I'm in the midst of colouring, thinking of words sometimes can be difficult. And then I go into the rambling mode, and I've actually, you know, a couple of times where I forget what I've actually said. So I do apologise about that. I'm going to put a little touch of blue into that band as well. Okay, I think these things on his hat, I'm not quite sure what they are, but I'm guessing they're going to have glass in them. So what I might do is going to choose a neutral grey 090, CG090, and I'm going to do it like it's got some sort of dark glass in, and then maybe use a acrylic paint marker or a white gel pen to put some highlights across that. And for the band that's holding them together, I think I'm going to go for one of those orangey brown colours that I was using. So this is red grey, just so that it looks different to the putty, but it still looks like it might be perhaps leather. Because I don't know what it's actually meant to be fair. Okay, I think we might start doing some skin colours so that we can get, you know, a bit of a cohesive look at what's going on, and then do all the finishing touches. So he kind of looks a bit spooky, leaving him light skinned. So I'm thinking I might go for a very light, that was mushroom white, and it's quite yellow. So this is cream colour E191, and this is actually warm grey 140. So I'm going to go for the cream colour to start with, and I'm going to try and leave some bright white highlights. So the top of his chin would be quite light, and of course I can try using the colourless blender as well to come back in. In fact, where is that? I'll get that now. And take some of those hard edges off. He kind of looked a bit spooky when he was very white, so I was sort of thinking about keeping his skin very pale, especially with the auburn hair. Because it gave him that really creepy sort of eerie look, which he's got that sort of expression on his face to my way of thinking. So we'll do a little bit of the warm grey, and it doesn't look anything like warm grey to me. I don't know if this is mislabeled or not, but that does not look anything like a grey to me. And what I was thinking about doing was trying to bring in that light blue that we've used here. I want to bring some of that into his skin as well. So everywhere that would be in shadow, I'm just sort of giving it that light bit of blue in there. And let's have a look at where did the putty go. So putty is what I used in his eyebrows here. I'm just going to darken up that shadow under his eye. So I kind of want his eyes to look quite dark and evil, but the rest of his face quite light. And let's go for and I'm slowly going to deepen up that lip colour. Maybe put a slightest bit of pink in there, maybe. So I'm trying to use the colours that I've already got in the page. So that was the dark pink, and I've put a little bit of putty over the top of it. Right, and that's quite wet, so it's going to bleed if I put too much more on there. So we'll leave that for the moment. We used rose beige in his hair, so we'll also try and incorporate a little bit of that rose beige into some of these deeper, darker areas. And we can do a darkening up around here yet, so let's do that now. Madder red is what I was using for that. And when I looked back on the video, when I was watching it back, I realised I've probably got some of what should be his finger here as the glove as hair. So let's get that taffy, and we'll just do that in there. Sorry, that's the marker rolling around there. Start darkening up some of these different areas around the place. Now you may hear some groaning, that is actually Hamish. He's a very talkative dog. He makes lots of groans and funny noises. At the moment he's snoozing, but he does it even when he's wide awake. He makes some strange noises at us sometimes. Alright, where's that deeper blue? I'm going to come for some of that under there as well. sort of the shadow from his hat. So yeah, I like the way that this blue looks like it's reflecting back off of his clothes. Quite like that. So let's just put a little bit more along there. And it may not be entirely evident on the camera, but when I take a photograph of it, you will see it if you go onto Instagram, and I will also hold it up to the camera. Now I use the strange greeny colour down here, but I need to come back with the chartreuse and just put a few shadows into different areas. It's called Aqua Mint. The cap looks quite blue, and the colour that comes out is a very, very, very pale green. So that's why I don't tend to get hung up on these names and so on. Like when you're doing a swatch chart, a number is really quite sufficient, because some of these names that they come up with have absolutely no bearing to what colour is actually in the marker. So we'll just do a few little details on there. I've got a feeling I'm going to end up bringing some pencil in on these, you know, this foreground area, because it feels like it should be in much more of a detail. Now, I don't know what that pattern is meant to be on there. I don't know if it's meant to be flowers or not, but it's not very clear. And I just thought I'd put some random gold on there, was my plan. And this cup down here is an odd shape, so we're going to just fudge that a little bit. And I learned my lesson from yesterday. I actually had some lunch before I got started today, so that I won't have a grumbling tummy. And then the table itself, I want to leave that like it might be a white tablecloth, so I just need a really pale grey again. So I'm going to go for neutral grey, is CG023, and do a little bit of that underneath for the shadows. And we have CG021 neutral grey, which is a lighter grey that I'll just blend that out a little bit. So there's some grayscale here indicating where shadow should go. So it's very much a top down, slightly behind light source, I think, from the way that the shadows have been drawn in. I don't know if you can hear that. Somebody's walking up the street singing at the top of their voice. It sounded like they might have been singing Sweet Caroline. very funny. It's woken Hamish up and he's looking very confused and worried. So I would say on a whole, Hamish is maybe slightly less fearful than when we first got him, but not by much. And things like that really unsettle him when he hears a voice outside, or a noise that he can't see what the source of it is. It tends to freak him out for a while. So I had a neighbour asking me the other day how he was going and was he improving, and I said, sadly, I'd like to say he is improving, but it's very much like one day we'll have a great day with him and he'll be very playful and he doesn't get startled too easily, and you know, basically just a joy to have him around. And then the next day we get up and we've got this cowering, frightened, nervous dog again, who jumps at shadows and doesn't like reflections, and you know, absolutely terrified of things again, and absolutely nothing's changed. We give him his medication very much at the same time every day. We try not to you know, have that change too much, and it's hard because I mean my life is actually ruled by this dog and his needs at the moment. So we try and keep his medication times pretty much the same every day. He gets fed nearly much, you know, every day at the same time. And yet from one day to the next he can be completely different. It's really disheartening because you just feel like, you know, you might be making some progress. You have a day or two of great behaviour and you think, right, great, we're turning the corner here with him a little bit. And you know, the next day you get taken back again, and it's so hard. It really is. I know when you know, you take on a rescue dog, you don't know what you're getting, and you have to be prepared that it's going to take some time. But you know, here we are at the end of September. He's been here since the end of May, and you know, I thought we were making some progress, but I feel like we've gone backwards again. So it's incredibly frustrating. And you know, I feel for him. I just feel like I wish I could say to him, like, you're okay, you're safe. You don't need to be so worried all the time. I wish we could somehow make him understand that, but you know, sadly we can't. Oh yeah, a lot of this now I want to put some metallics on, so I'm not sure what to do. These stripes are troubling me. I don't know what I want to do with those. I don't want a huge contrast, but I think I might just use a very light grey on there. I've got MG011 blue grey. Yeah, it's almost like a silvery grey. I'm just going to go for that because I really don't know what else. The colour scheme isn't such that it would warrant me putting like a wildly different contrasting edge on there, or stripe. So I'm just going to blend that in there. Sometimes I wish we could email the artist and just say, hey, what were you actually thinking here when you did this? You know, it would help, wouldn't it? So it's lighter but without being jarring. Put a little bit of that there in his cheek as well. Let's go back to, got cream colour and the warm grey. So this is the warm grey 140. Okay, not sure how I feel about that. Let's keep going back now to this background. And I want the lighter. I've got a lot of markers out here now, guys. A lot of markers. Some of these marker lids are rather tight. Okay. And that was a Hamish groan. I don't know if he's actually awake or not. Sometimes he has his eyes open, but he's still sleeping. And let's just go back to the rose and put a little bit more into that. So I think what I might do is I might start coming into this with some pencil. And I have the full 150 set of Prismacolor here. And I'm going to use that. This is muted turquoise. I'm just going to do that to put a little bit of extra detail into his face. I'm also going to use it a little bit on the gloves, which might seem a bit odd, but once again, it just helps to suggest that perhaps the gloves have a maybe could be leather, and they're reflecting a little bit of the colour of everything that's around them. And I'm going to put some of that into here as well, so that it helps tie his jacket into the whole narrative as well. I could put a little bit of that into the teapot. So even though I want more detail in here, I'm not actually aiming for realism. I still want that very much graphic illustration or storybook illustration style that doesn't look like a photograph. It just, you know, it's a style of its own. But helps bring some of the detail in and break up some of that solid colour that I had going on. And what I like about the Prismacolor is because I'm using it in this manner, I'm not blending and I'm not trying to go for realism. It's actually putting a nice bit of texture onto everything as well. And I'm just going to come back in here. I've got jade green, and I'm just going to put some of that in there. And this is rosy beige, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that onto the lip. Not too much. Now let's have a look at the hair. I'm going to use a little bit of henna. Which is quite red. Just to warm up some of that, the shadowy areas. And a little bit of Tuscan red. And then I've got burnt ochre. So if you watched part one, I'm not trying to put every single hair in here. What I'm doing is just trying to tell a story about the movement and shape of his hair just by using the different variations in tone and shade. instead of white, I want to just try a little bit of cream. Just on those areas where it would be a little bit lighter. So I'm trying not to introduce too many new colours, but I want them to sort of blend in with the colours that are already there. But just give them that, you know, the alcohol marker, that little bit of lift. Maybe a little touch of that in on the hat. Definitely a little bit in there. So if the light's coming down and hitting some things, it's kind of coming down, you know, like that. So I'm not going for, you know, really finely coloured idea to describe the shape, but the fact that there's light in the middle, darker at the edges, you're getting that idea that, you know, hopefully that it's more rounded. So let's just grab a sap green light here. And the same with this, we're just going to try and suggest a little bit more of the shapes. And I want a little bit darker, but this true green, I'm just going to try this and see if it just lifts it, because that chartreuse, while I like it, is just looking a little bit flat. So if you think about a teacup would probably be shiny because it's china, so it will be reflecting colours from all around it as well. So because we've got the colour in the background, it sort of implies that he's surrounded by this colour. And we could put some of that in there. And I'm almost hoping here that it gives it a bit of a painterly effect, because I'm not going for the fine blending. I hope it just gives you more of an impression, you know, of maybe of a painterly feeling rather than a detailed feeling. Let's see, I would like some different greens. And I've realised I don't have a pencil sharpener with me either. That wasn't very well planned, was it? So all those areas where I didn't feel like I could quite hit the mark with the alcohol markers, with the blending sort of abstract look I was hoping for, just using the bit of pencil to help achieve that. I'm hoping, what I'm trying to do here as well by using this sort of style of colouring and the colours that I'm choosing, I want it to look a little bit menacing, because I feel like he's a bit menacing. Let's put a bit of green on his face too. And I've got the impression and feeling with this colour scheme that it's making me think of absinthe for some reason. And I think absinthe has got that bit of seediness about it. Like, you know, it was a little bit risque sort of thing to be doing and drinking. He's not got tea in his teapot after all, maybe. And where I had that porcelain blue that I couldn't quite match up, maybe I can add in some light aqua. So you can see as I've gone along, the colour palette has changed quite considerably from what I initially set out saying I was going to do. And that's why I don't often plan them, because I like to just let it evolve and you know, see what the colours describe to me as I go along or suggest to me. And in here we need to just sort of make sure we don't lose that look of the putty. I don't want to lose that completely, because that was a, you know, important part of the colour choices to me, was that I had this with the blue. So I don't want to lose that completely. And the bow's not really sort of standing out at all, so I've still got the set in the box. I haven't thought about putting it into a pencil case or anything yet, so that's why you can hear me fossicking about with the pencil trays. So we need a dark in there because there's no real definition. So this is 50% warm grey. And I don't want to lose the blue touches that I put in there too much either, so let me just grab that back. Okay, I've mixed my lids up here. So that's sky blue. We just need a little bit more dark along there. And maybe a little bit along here. I'm getting pretty close to the point where I just want those metallic gel pens, which I don't actually have with me at the moment, which is annoying. I think perhaps I just want a touch of something into his jacket that's a bit different. Cobalt turquoise, here we go. Just to give that a little bit of something extra. So what that does, it just lifts that shadow, instead of it just being a big dark meaningless, you know, slab of colour, when you put something like a little bit different in there like that, it just suddenly comes alive. And it still looks like a shadow, but you know, it's not just a dark flat expanse of colour. Okay, I really don't want to come back and do a third part, so please bear with me guys while I just run off and grab my metallic jelly roll set. I won't be very long. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I should be better organised than I am, but so we're coming up for that hour mark again. Okay, let's have a look. What do I want? I need a silver for the buckle. Definitely I want that to be silver. And I want silver around here. So I hope when you watch these videos, now I know I've been doing this for quite some time, and that allows me to be a little bit faster in my choices and decision making. But you don't need to labour over everything and be perfect to get an interesting image out of the end of it. So perfection is not my aim. What my aim is to hopefully engage, you know, with the viewer. You know, for example, I post a lot of my work onto Instagram. So I want it to be something that's eye-catching and engage with the viewer on Instagram, as well as being an enjoyable colour for me. Okay, now what colour will I put? And I've put my hand in silver again. You're probably all shouting at me not to do that, but hey ho, I do keep doing it. You'd think I would learn by now, but I do not. Just going to put a little touch of black in there because I used a charcoal grey here. It wasn't a black. So I'll just put a little bit into there. And, oh, I didn't realise that there is a bronze in this set. I know they did a gold and a silver, but I didn't know they did bronze. That's interesting. Let's have a look and see what that looks like. Interesting. I'm not sure what they are meant to be on there either, but I'll leave those for now. I do think his little roses could probably do with a bit of attention. Raspberry. Just a little touch of that on the hat. I'm not going to do it in the background because I want them to be really abstract and very loose. And these trays are a bit annoying, aren't they? I can see why people do invest in the pencil cases. This is Parma Violet. Okay. Am I satisfied with those teacups? I think I am. Oh, the only thing that might look nice is this is like cerulean blue, just a touch of blue in there as well. Okay, getting to that fiddling point of fiddling. Okay, so gold. I'm going to do the centre of the buttons in gold. And let's get into a little bit of the details on the cups. And I thought that I would probably do that band around there, gold, and a touch of it along the edge of the teacups, the saucers, sorry. I have to say that the Sakura Jelly Roll Gold would have to be one of my favourite gold gel pens. I just like the colour, and I like the smooth way that it goes on. So we're getting close to the end now. So I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you for being here if you're still watching. Thank you if you watched part 1 as well. I hope that you've got something out of it. It's just a different way to use your alcohol markers without just block colouring and wanting to get that sort of perfect smooth blend all the time. This is a lot looser way of colouring, but just as effective, and it's certainly quicker, and I have more fun colouring this way than I ever did when I was trying to get full realism all the time. And I enjoy it. I like the effect I'm happy with it. Now those little buttons on his jacket there, I actually might just use this metallic blue because it'll give a bit of shine, but it won't actually add any extra colour. And I don't feel like I want to add any colour. So they're just some sort of metallic studs, but you know, when I move the book I will see the shine. So I've got a little tiny bit in here that I've sort of missed. I think that's going to do me. I'll just have a check through the screen, because I find sometimes when I look at a picture on screen, I notice things that I don't see with the naked eye. Something to do with the lighting and everything, just sort of, it just looks a bit different on the screen. Yeah, I think that's going to do. If anything, I could potentially mess with that side a little bit more and get a bit more variation in the roses, but I'm just going to try and get that to focus on his face. So you can see all those flashes of green that are reflected on his face, the colours that are in his gloves. Could potentially put a bit of blue or something into the shadows of his hair as well. So the teacups and the teapot. You can see there the colours in his waistcoat are reflected as well. So I just feel like those little flashes of green make him look a little bit more menacing. Could probably do a touch of acrylic paint pen for the whites, for the highlights in his eyes. Okay, so let me know what you think. Is it something that you guys like to see, something a little bit different from just really finely blended, highly realistic images? Do you like this sort of thing with the use of different unexpected colours? Is there anything you think I've done that I shouldn't have done? I would like to hear your views. I'm quite happy with it. I don't think there's anything I would change, other than perhaps, you know, maybe a little bit more definition needed in that background there on that side, but I'm happy with the way that side's looking. I think it's pretty good. So I think it was about an hour and 20 minutes or something for the first one. It's an hour and 15 minutes for this one, so maybe 2.5, 3 hours max to create a full page colouring like that is pretty reasonable, I think. So there you go. I'm not sure what I will come back and do next time. I think I've got it's two more Alice books that I haven't coloured in yet, the Good Wives and Warriors book and the Horror Alice book. So I might try and colour one of those on camera for you as well. Okay, I hope you're enjoying the Alice series with me and you're not too bored by it. I'm still quite engaged by it and happy to be colouring it, so I hope you're enjoying seeing it as well. Okay, I shall see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye now.